Hey garden friends, today we're out here and we're going to save this rose. This is my Olivia Austin, David Austin rose, and it was doing great. It has bloomed for years in my garden, but this year we had that late hard freeze, and though I thought it came through it very well, it's now showing extreme signs of stress. You can just see how it's just turning crispy and canes are dying back. So we're going to give this thing new life. We're going to dig it up out of the pot, but first I'm going to cut back a lot of the canes. That way, when I plant it in its new spot, it will put energy into roots, we're hoping. And so first of all, I'm going to cut off canes that are broken. This one got broken. And set them aside. Now this one I can cut back pretty hard. It's looking pretty sad. Let me get a good angle at it so I can give it a clean cut. And a lot of these little side shoots coming through. Anything dead looking, cut off. So, and this won't hurt it. You're just trying to force it to come back from the roots, and you already see a brand new growth there. This is, I better look it up. I always buy own root, so I'm hoping these I did get own root. I don't know why I wouldn't have, but that way it'll generate new growth from the roots and it will come true. So this one, these ones, I'm cutting these all to about, well, this one I would say was 8 inches long. Now this did have new growth on it, but this is all struggling. So I just want to rejuvenate it. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut those back. And these side ones that are all dead. This one looks, pretty dead or dying. So we're going to let it throw out all new growth. So when I dig it out a little further, I will be able to tell if it's grafted, I do believe. So let me just, I could wiggle it, but I want to really get down there. Got a good root system on it, so I'm going to have to tip it and wiggle it out. Try not to damage anything around it. Just going to dump some of the soil out so I can see it. Now, you know what? It's looking like it is grafted because it's got this knob right here. So that means I will have to make sure that nothing comes up from below the graft, because anything that grows below the graft is not the Olivia Austin. It's whatever rootstock they use to graft it onto. So maybe I bought these on the graft because they didn't have any on its own root, but I'm pretty sure they had our own root. But no matter, we will treat it as if it's grafted, because I really do believe it is. So, I want to leave as much root on it as I can to replant. Okay, still has a lot of fantastic fibrous roots, but because I want this to regenerate, make sure this part that regenerating is above the graft. Yep, all of it is above the graft. You see how it's knobby right here? That's a graft where they grafted Olivia onto the rootstock. I'm pretty sure. So now what I'm going to do to give it the most chance of living, or to getting off to a better start in its new spot. And I have no idea why it was, this is pretty good soil. I was keeping it moist. I don't know why it wasn't continuing to thrive, unless it was just going to start making a comeback because it just now turned warm. But it was freezing cold and then turned like 80 something degrees, almost 90. So it was like struggling to make a comeback after the freeze. Just getting rid of all these other little dead growths. Yeah. All right. So I'm going to take a bucket. Let me see if this one will fit in the bucket. It will. The roots are in there. Now to give it a boost before replanting it, I am going to pour this into the bucket. This is that growth stimulant, root stimulant that I've been telling you about. And I mixed it a little stronger. I mixed a 1/4 cup to this gallon. And now I'm going to soak this in it while I go and prepare the new garden bed. I have decided to put these in my front garden in the 2 fire rings that I had. Last year I had dahlias in them. I had tulips in them earlier in the front garden tour. The tulips are done, ready to be taken out, or at least the foliage, the dead foliage. And I'll put the 2, I have 2 Olivia Austin roses. The other one I had already dug up and put in another pot earlier. And so they're both going to go in, one in each of those rings. So I'm going to let this soak though for a good 20 minutes, and that will help it to just rejuvenate that much faster. And I'll make sure and pamper it until they recover. And then the front garden should be a really good spot for them. So I'll go and prep the other bed and we will get this planted. After pulling all the foliage from the tulips out of here, I coated it. I poured a bucket load of compost on top of it. That is a good slow release fertilizer feed for plants. You don't need anything else really for slow feed. And I always do in containers like this, or even the raised beds, supplement fertilizer with a liquid organic feed that feeds the soil as well as the plants. So now I'm just going to dig down in the center, nice and deep. I may dig up some tulips, but I can set them aside to plant elsewhere. Tulips really are just mostly an annual crop. You will get some to bloom, and in fact I did get some to bloom from last year, but not that many. So you usually replant every year anyways. And I think I mentioned this in one of my prior videos. I am going to try to aim for daffodils. Daffodils regenerate themselves. I do not have to replant if I don't want to, and I may do a few pots of tulips. But as far as putting tulips in the ground, I'm not going to bother. I don't think. I could change my mind in the fall. That's the glory of gardening. You can change your mind. Okay, I'm getting this good and deep because I want to this to be buried deeper than the graft. And that's because deeper. I want it to be protected in our freak freezes. That protects it, and or I will mulch it very, very heavily. And I can add more soil to hill it up because I've got room in this to bring up the soil up around that graft. Okay, let's get that straight. Got some more bulbs here, bulblets. Looks like little baby tulips. All right. So now that I got that put in there, I will give it a little drink. This is the leftover Rev. And as this grows, as it starts to leaf out, I will start foliar feeding it with the organic Rev too. And that will help the roots and stimulate growth. So there's that. I'm going to get some more compost to pour and fill in around the edge. And then I am going to plant this thing. This is going to get these. I'm not going to plant those today. We're just going to go with how I am fixing this rose or trying to rejuvenate it. And I will get the other one and put in the other one that matches this. And then each of these rings will get 3 of these wave petunias. This is the pink wave. Let me see if it has the name. A lot of them times they have a name. Just says wave series. It doesn't say which one. Petunia. Okay. Anyways, so they spread very far. So 3 in this, as well as I have some lobelia I would like to put in here with it. So the petunias, the rose, and the lobelia will make a great planter here. So that's the rose being fixed. I'm going to do the other one. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will be sure to update you to see how this worked. We'll see how well this rose pulls through, and or if it doesn't. So I'll show you that too. But I have high hopes that it will come back just fine. All right, I will see you in the next video.